Good morning, Wootton. I'm Hank.
And I'm Eli. And today's Friday, February 26th, 2021. And these are your weekly announcements brought to you by the Applied Educational Leadership Program, Television Production Class, and the Student Government Association. And now for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The word of the week is polysemy. Do you know what it means, Wootton? Did you know that the first licensed African-American female pilot was named Bessie Coleman?
Need some help with homework? Would you like a tutor? Homework Club will meet after school next week from 2:45 to 3:45 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday afternoons or by appointment. For the Zoom link, go to Activities under the Wootton webpage. Click on the 2020-2021 SGA full list of clubs. Find the club Zoom link under Homework Club. Please contact Mr. Steinbach to arrange for a specific tutor or if you have any questions.
And now to a Black History Month segment. Harriet Tubman was an American abolitionist and political activist. Born into slavery, Tubman escaped and subsequently made some 13 missions to rescue approximately 70 enslaved people, including family and friends. Using the network of anti-slavery activists and safe houses known as the Underground Railroad. During the Civil War, she served as an armed scout and spy for the Union Army. In her later years, Tubman was an activist in the movement for women's suffrage. She was the first woman to lead an armed expedition in the war. She guided the raid at Combahee Ferry, which liberated more than 700 enslaved people. After the war, she retired to the family home on property she had purchased in 1859 in Auburn, New York, where she cared for her aging parents. She was active in the women's suffrage movement until illness overtook her, and she had to be admitted to a home for elderly African Americans that she had helped to establish years earlier. After her death in 1913, she became an icon of courage and freedom.
Malcolm X was an African American leader in the civil rights movement, minister, and supporter of Black nationalism. He urged his fellow Black Americans to protect themselves against white aggression, quote, by any means necessary, a stance that often put him at odds with the nonviolent teachings of Martin Luther King Jr. His charisma and oratory skills helped him achieve national prominence in the Nation of Islam, a belief system that merged Islam with Black nationalism. After Malcolm X's assassination in 1965, his best-selling book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X, popularized his ideas and inspired the Black Power movement.
Attention all students looking for leadership and SSL opportunities. There are several great options for you. The SGA has this information posted on the SGA website that is under Activities on the main Wootton webpage. You can also find this on the SGA Instagram link tree. These are great chances to gain leadership experience and get SSL hours. Check them out. And now for a COVID care video with Josh Friedman and Mrs. Lange.
Hello, Wootton students. My name is Josh Friedman, and I'm currently a junior. Remote learning definitely has its limitations, and in my opinion, one of the worst is that students can no longer see their teachers before, during, or after school in order to receive extra help. Additionally, it is hard to build relationships with your educators in a virtual environment. While we do have designated check-in times, it can sometimes be difficult competing for a teacher's help amongst other students in only 20 minutes. That is why I started COVID Care Vids, an additional way students can get information from and about their teachers, as well as resources for additional help at any convenient time. I sincerely hope that this benefits the Wootton community. Hello, Wootton students. My name is Josh Friedman, and on today's COVID Care Vid, I'm going to be interviewing Miss Lang, one of our Spanish teachers. Miss Lang, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing well. So to start off, what are some hobbies that kept you busy over quarantine?
I've been doing quite a few different things. I've been doing a lot of cooking and baking. I have also been spending a lot of time with my new little baby Theo. We've been going out on walks and playing with the dog. And I think being around in the house a lot has allowed me to see different things I want to change around the house. So we've been putting up some pictures and doing some small little additions.
That sounds nice. Are there any activities that you recommend students do during remote learning?
I think what I would suggest would be, I think since students can't get together with their friends as easily now, Zooming with your friends after school, maybe so you can do homework together, watch a movie on Netflix together, share the screen. At least for my family is all over the U.S. So every weekend we set up a time to Zoom and we have a little family trivia night, and each member of the family takes turns thinking up the questions. So it's a nice time to catch up and learn things.
That sounds really fun. And what do you expect of students as they take a language course virtually this year?
I think it's definitely challenging, as I'm sure many other courses are, especially because we don't get to have a lot of spoken interaction, and sometimes taking a language course, you depend on being able to see each other easily in order to gauge different responses. So I think that is definitely tricky. So what I hope any students, and my students as well, is that I want them to practice the language outside of class in any way that they can. So I tell my students they can set their phones and computers to the target language, so Spanish in my case, so they can see directions and they can see their email folders all in the target language, and it forces them to practice different vocabulary that they might see on a regular basis. They can also practice speaking in front of the mirror or their family members in the target language. They can label things around the house so they can see the vocabulary words on a regular basis. And then finally, what I would love for them to do, and what we try to do in breakout rooms as well, is Zooming with their friends within the class and enforcing a rule that they can only use the language that they need to learn for class. I think that will really help, as well as, of course, outside of class, reading newspaper articles in the target language, watching movies, TV shows, in the target language, or even putting on the subtitles in Spanish will help them, practice their listening abilities as well as their reading abilities.
So you mentioned watching movies and reading articles in a different language, the language that they're studying, but what are some additional resources that students can really take advantage of if they feel they need extra help but cannot attend office hours?
Sure. I provide my students with a list of different websites. So, at least for Spanish, I can recommend to my students that they check out. There's some really good grammar sites like Study Spanish and conjuguemos.com. Newspaper websites like El País, so they can learn about different Spanish-speaking cultures around the world, and of course practice their comprehension skills, as well as listening comprehension. Some of those websites also have videos. Our honor societies will also be starting up some virtual tutoring hours, so we will be getting that started pretty soon, so that students can, go to that opportunity if they need to outside of class to get some extra help or just to practice speaking. And also, I found that students also enjoy downloading the app Duolingo for some like fun daily practice of the target language in a sort of game format.
And last but not least, do you have any advice for students during these unprecedented times?
I think it's definitely challenging, and I think the way that I look at it, and I would advise my students to look at it, is to always try to put a positive spin on things, and it will help sort of from getting too overwhelmed. I think it's important to make sure you set aside time each day to do something for yourselves, whether it's watching a TV show, going for a walk, playing with the pet, or setting up some sort of a Zoom call just to chat with your friends. And it sort of lets you escape and have some personal time before getting back to virtual learning.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time and for being a part of COVID CareVids.
Thank you so much, Josh.
The word of the week is polysemy, meaning a diversity of meanings.
And the quote of the week is, "Each person must live their life as a model for others." Rosa Parks.
The 2020-2021 SGA theme this year is Unity Through Adversity.
Please remember to walk wise and drive wise. Have a great weekend, Wootton.